You are listening to the Path Podcast on Mountain Bike Radio.
For Tani and Ak, this is Nathan. Welcome to another episode of the Path Podcast.
Thanks, Nathan. This is Ak. Hey, thanks to everyone for tuning in today. We are in Santa Cruz, California, with the hottest World Cup downhill race team and arguably the greatest individual racer of all time. The Santa Cruz Syndicate joins us today with Greg Minnaar, Luca Shaw, and Loris Vergier. I'll intro.
I think it's a good time to just let the listeners hear you guys that you're really here. Greg, say hi.
Hello, guys. Thanks for having us on the show.
Thanks for coming, man. It really means a lot to us. And so thanks for you coming, Luca.
Oh yeah, thanks for having us. No problem.
Yeah, thank you. I'm Loris.
Awesome, Loris. Thanks.
Great.
I quite like the intro song.
It's familiar, right?
Yeah.
Is that your
brings back some good memories?
Tall Boy?
Yeah, that was
video?
the Tall Boy theme tune.
That's cool. If you haven't seen that Tall Boy video, check it out, listeners. It's
Yeah,
sweet.
it's pretty great. So just a little bit of background for maybe those listeners who might not know the riders. Greg Minnaar, I think he does have the title as possibly the winningest World Cup downhill racer ever.
I think so. He's probably not going to dispute it.
Exactly. He's a three-time World Cup champion, 3 World Cup titles as well. His career spans up to now about 18 years of professional racing. And thanks for joining us.
That was when I was supposed to welcome you, Greg. I screwed that up.
That's okay. This works well. Luca Shaw, man, you are the youngest gun on the team.
Yeah.
So Luca's 20. I believe I was saying you're West Coast born, but East Coast raised in North Carolina. Is that accurate?
Yeah, that's right.
Awesome. Hendersonville, is that right?
Yep.
North Carolina. Thanks for coming out to the West Coast. Luca's been with the Syndicate for 1 year. He was with SRAM downhill prior to that. And this year, like Tani had mentioned when we walked in, you had a great year. 3 top 10 finishes, 13th overall, and you are one of the top U.S. riders at this point.
Yeah, thanks. It's been a fun year, kind of up and down, but definitely had some good moments.
Awesome.
You're like it's awesome to have someone representing the U.S. at a high level other than Mr. Gwynn.
Yeah, no, thanks.
And Loris Vergier, hopefully I'm getting somewhat close to the name pronunciation there. It hails from France, and you are actually 21 years old now, legal to drink in the States. Two junior World Cup championships, building an impressive resume of top 10 World Cup finishes and podiums this year. You actually finished 5th overall this year in the World Cup. And thanks for joining us. An awesome year to all of you guys.
And some sizzling prelim results, right?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, thank you for having me too. And I think to be 21 is quite better because I'm quite young looking, so it's easier now. Yeah, thank you.
To be 21 is,
Yeah.
From what I recall, very much better.
So that's kind of our intro, a little bit of bio background, and I'll let Tani take it from here.
Yeah, thanks again, guys. We're all here for the Santa Cruz holiday party tonight. I'm pretty stoked, and I'm a little nervous because I've heard about some of the wreckage. You guys got any goals for the party?
Jeez, just to
Survive?
really.
Yeah.
It kicked off last night with the pre-party and, wearing it today.
Nice. Maybe play some crud.
I'm sure that will come out. There was a big crud game last year.
I think it's time for the world to hear about crud.
Yeah. Apparently it's got another name as well. So,
Oh, really?
yeah. I don't know too much about it, and I can't really remember the rules. But it's played on a pool table, and yeah.
There's a sack rule, and there's a cue ball throwing rule, and it's hectic and wild.
It is, yeah.
So, other than the party tonight, what's got you guys blood flowing right now? I mean, for me, I've always got like a hobby or an event or a trip or a race or a ride that I'm really looking forward to. Any, you guys got anything that you're looking forward to?
Yeah, this is kind of seems like when the year sort of starts, like last couple months. At least I've just been home pretty much. Been on like no schedule, so it's been nice. But yeah, we were in SoCal last few days doing some testing, and then getting to see everyone again. It's kind of feels like, you know, we're starting to ramp up for 2018. So yeah, I'm just starting to think about like racing again, and got some new equipment and all the, you know, new stuff that a new year brings. So yeah, it's start to kind of get your mind on that and sort of pick it up a notch. So that's what's got me going.
I can't imagine anything more exciting than ramping up for another season with the Syndicate. That sounds just amazing to me.
Yeah, it's pretty exciting.
Go ahead.
Yeah,
Greg.
I think for me, it's just really after this, just to spend some time at home. It's been pretty crazy season, and I've been pretty busy. So for me, it's a little boring, but just like a bit of time at home would be nice. But yeah, like Lucas said, we started testing some new equipment for the season, and I think by the next test session we'll have some good stuff, and that's always pretty exciting kicking off the season.
So you've got some secret stuff you're excited about.
Yeah, it's not really secret stuff. It's just refined stuff that we've been using. Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah, it's always good to come here, like catching up with all those guys and see people in factory too, because we don't really see them much, and you can tell what you want for next year and all the new bikes and stuff. You can, yeah. I mean, it's always good to be there and yeah, see all those guys.
Yeah. Yeah, I bet. I mean, this is your 1 year anniversary, right, Loris and Luca? With the Syndicate?
With the Syndicate, yeah, but I've actually ridden for Santa Cruz now 3 years. So,
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
Cool.
But yeah, 1 year on the Syndicate done. So
What is that like, man? Like a year with the Syndicate, 20 years old.
it's kind of crazy. There's, it's like when you really think about like all the stuff we did in just 1 year, it's kind of mind blowing, and definitely some good memories and lots of laughs. So yeah, can't wait for another one.
You got any laugh stories you can share?
Got a few from last night alone.
Anything as good as the time when Greg wore the dress out that night I heard about?
It's been a couple nights, so which night are you talking about?
Well, I think we had heard that there was a bet where whoever had the slowest qualifying time, was that what it was?
Yeah, normally in testing, it's just to have a little bit of competition. It started probably about 5 or 6 years ago, and we decided that the slowest in testing is going to wear one of Rob Roskop's wife's dresses out, and it ended up being me. So we continued that on, and I ended up having to wear the dress again.
It seems you're a
Lucas
good
just
sport,
showed me
man.
Elliot Jackson is trying to call him, and I'm sure he's pretty much just woken up.
Yeah.
He was in a ripe state last night.
It seems like you guys had a good time with no shortage of shenanigans.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd say so.
You got it. It's not always easy traveling. So if you're having a good time around racing, you're going to have a good time racing.
Right. Maybe help you loosen the grip up a little bit.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. I think that's how we kicked the season. We kicked the season off that way too. We went straight from testing to Lisbon for a night in Lisbon, and found ourselves at the Cuban bar till pretty late, and Loris and Luca salsa dancing with this girl who I don't know how she could move those hips like that. It was pretty impressive. And then we went on to have like a first, third, and fifth in the qualifying.
Right.
I think that was the result. So, I mean, it's a pretty good way to kick off the following week after a party weekend. But yeah, you're relaxed and having a good time, and then you go to a race, that energy carries on.
That's awesome. That it's almost like exactly how you picture the Syndicate, just always pinned, always battled, you know. What's the saying? Win or lose, we drink the booze.
Pretty much.
Yeah. We live by that for sure.
But you guys work hard too, I imagine. A lot of training.
Definitely. I mean, it's, work hard, play hard kind of mentality. And it's, Yeah, I think in the off season we at home putting a lot of effort in, training hard, and we try and carry that through the season. But being on the road with the team and you're not having a good time and you're taking things a little too serious, that season can be long. And I think I can't speak for everyone else, but we go home for a couple of weeks and then back to racing. You're excited to get on the road again and have some fun. Does help.
What does off-season training look like for each of you? Like skills, strength, power,
fundamentals.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's what's kind of cool about downhill is like it's not just like one thing that's gonna make you better. Like I feel like some sports, like I don't know, maybe if you were like a swimmer or a runner or something, you just run every day or swim every day, and I can't really imagine just doing one thing every day. So like I try and do as much different stuff as possible, like training like on the bike or whatever, but then also like in the gym or like cross training, like ride a bit of motocross and just mix it up as much as possible. So just keeping it fresh. And I think, I mean, if you're working hard, when you're working hard, and then you just whatever you can do to mix it up, I think just is what keeps me kind of going. So it's a lot of variety.
So do you Luca have a personal coach that you work with to design kind of that training regime or set specific goals in the off season as far as whether it be bike handling, fitness?
I used to, but not anymore. I'm pretty lucky that I have a brother who's also a pretty serious racer, and I pretty much just train and ride with him every day. And I have also a couple good crew of friends to ride and train with. So now I kind of just do my own thing now. I think I've learned enough like about, my body and what works for me and what doesn't work for me to I sort of have refined like, my training down and kind of feel like I know what to do. So don't really see the point of having a coach at this point. Unless, I mean, for me, I feel like it's all about like relationships. And if you don't have that with someone, then I'd rather just do my own thing. So
right,
that makes sense.
Yeah.
How about yourself, Loris? What is the off-season training and look like?
I mean, it's quite the same, just like trying to mix everything, but I'm not doing it. I've got like a friend, a coach that is my coach actually. And
you must have that relationship.
Yeah. And I just need that, like when you look at your schedule, you're like, okay, tomorrow I have this to do and this and move on like that. If I don't have anything, I would be like, I might do nothing today, and tomorrow, nothing too. So yeah, I'm kind of lazy, but when you have like a live schedule, it's easier. So yeah, trying to progress on strength and body and whatever, and BMX too, like kind of a lot of BMX. I'm not great, but I have to work on that. And I mean, winter is like kind of key because you won't train much during the season because you want to be fresh and you won't be like as strong as winter. I think you need to train during winter. That's what I mean.
Right. So you're not wearing yourself down with training in the season.
Exactly.
Yeah. What about you, Greg?
I mix things up a little bit. I try and ride motocross at least once a week, and probably in the gym 3 times a week. And then, I kind of run a bit and the rest on mountain bikes. So it's nice that, like Lucas said, you're not doing the same thing over and over again and you have a bit of a break. But the off season's pretty tough. You're preparing for the whole season, trying to work on injuries and kind of get your body in shape.
Is there a period that you guys back away and taper off and just spend a couple weeks just in physical recovery?
Yeah, for sure. I think that's, I rode Finale Ligure, which was in first week of October. And I rode my mountain bike again last week. So
right.
I took some time away from riding. Doesn't mean I don't train,
Right.
I've got to keep this dad bod in shape. And so it is quite a boozy and festive off season. So I try and run just to maintain the dad bod.
Like trail running, street running, little both?
We've got this group of guys that run at home. Some friends They call themselves the Cappuccino Boys, and they meet up every morning and go for probably about a 7K run, and then hang out and have a cup of coffee, and then go to work. So I join them. It's nice and social and good laugh.
Right. How about you guys? Do you guys take significant time off away from the bike in the off season?
Usually, yeah. But this year, I just sort of, I don't know, I get kind of bored if I don't ride. And it's like kind of what keeps me sane. So I pretty much ride every day.
You can really see that spirit. I forget the name of the video, you and your brother in your hometown. And
yeah,
that's a great video.
Yeah, thanks. Yeah, I mean, it's just like part of my life. Like if I don't ride for a few days in a row, I feel like something's missing and I don't like it. So, I mean, it's not that I'm riding hard or training. It's just what I do for fun. And so I'm pretty lucky to kind of have that to do every day. So
it's classic seeing you in that video and kind of having, it's just like the same kind of pitter patter, shenanigans that I've seen in every other shuttle truck. It's just so familiar.
Yeah. No, I mean, we don't put on any face. So what you see is what you get, I guess. So yeah, it's fun and yeah, it's what I love to do. So
yeah, that's great to hear. You talked a little bit earlier, part of coming back or in Southern California, you get to test some new gear and what have you. Can you, to the extent possible, share about that? Just circling back,
What's that now?
You guys change. What do you change?
So we were refining up our bike. So this season we pushed really hard to make the V1029, and we used some like the front end from our previous bike, just because we didn't have time, and we made a pretty good bike, but it's not great. And so Nick Anderson wanted to redo the whole bike.
Okay.
And freshen up. Our bike is probably about 5 years old anyway, so it needs a new bike and a new look. And so, yeah, we just started building our new bike for next season.
Awesome. Very fun.
Yeah. So it's just really refining what we had.
So, you said we developed this 29er, but from what we heard from Joe Graney and from Rob Roskop, Greg, it was pretty much you.
Well, yeah, I mean, but you've got, it's a team. It's, we all did the testing. We got the engineers and that working on the bike. So, Fox making sure we had suspension, Maxis making sure we had tires, and Envy making sure we had wheels. So, it would be not fair to say that it was only me. Yeah.
Very, very humble of you, considering that the people who could have taken credit gave you credit.
Oh, thanks.
So you're clearly not ever going back to smaller wheels.
No, I don't think so. To me, it was the sizing just fits. I'm 6'3".
Yep.
And when I see a video of myself on that big bike, it kind of looks normal.
Yep.
And even guys that are like a little bit shorter, like Luca. What are you, 5'10"? No, he's like 6 foot. How tall are you?
6 foot.
Still growing.
6.5 yeah. Yeah, so I mean, even like Luca looks pretty, he looks normal on a 29-inch bike. It doesn't look funny. And even Loris, who's 4.5 foot, it's not that big a difference. So it's
man, I thought I was 4.5 foot. I must be 4 foot.
So no, it's I think it rides nice. It feels good, and if it feels good, why not continue using it?
And you're going to also, Luca, be on 29 this year, you think?
yeah, yeah, for sure. Having a little technical difficulty. All right. No, I think for me, it's kind of not even so much a size thing, but a style thing. I really like the way it rides, and I feel like it suits my strengths and stuff. So, yeah, I don't see myself racing.
Can you elaborate on what styles you think 29 is good for, and what styles might be better served with smaller wheels?
Yeah, sure. I feel like 29er is sort of it's like a whole lot of momentum, and you kind of have to know what to do with that momentum.
Carry speed really well.
Yeah. So like I always kind of like break up early and kind of like try and carry my speed through corners, and maybe not the most like exciting style on the bike, but
more focused on exit speed than entry speed.
Kind of, yeah. And I just feel like trying to pick the smooth line and just keep a good flow. And I think the 29er is sort of what that's good for. So
the 27.5 might be better for that kind of slashing apex turning style.
Yeah, sort of. And I mean, of course, there's always going to be, I think, sections or tracks where, you could argue one's better than the other, but sure. I also don't really like switching my equipment too much. Like once I am comfortable on something, I like to just stick to that and not mess with it too much. So
I think most people can relate to that.
Yeah. So, I don't see myself going back to 27.5 for racing at least. I still love to ride trail bikes, 27.5 trail bikes or other bikes, but
playful and fun.
For downhill race bike, I think 29er makes sense.
What about you, Loris?
From what Lucas said, I really think it's correct, but in a way, like racing is different. So if you have like a kind of angry style, it could help you to race better. So, I mean,
the smaller wheels could help with kind of an angry style. Is that what you're saying?
No,
the bigger wheels.
Yeah. Like it could help like in a way that maybe you would be smoother too. Like,
who's got like, an angry style?
Not angry. I'm just like kind of loose sometimes and it helps like, it helps a lot. So, I mean, racing is different than just having fun. And in certain way, I think 29er for World Cup racing is just perfect because it's just fast and wild.
So you think we're going to see you on 29 every race this year?
Yeah.
Cool.
Pretty much.
You did go back to 27.5 and had a pretty good result last year?
Mm-hmm. I did that. I think once you got something in your mind, you have to do it. And that's the main point. If you really trust what you ride, it's just like, you need to ride it. And at that point, I don't know why my mind was like, oh, I might try the 27.5 and trying to be fast. But yeah, I like switching stuff. I like new stuff all the time. Not like Luca.
As long as we're talking wheel size, I want to bring up my weird pet project idea, passion thing. I have this theory that at least for me, maybe the best downhill bike has 29-inch front wheel and 27.5-inch rear. And I know that's illegal for UCI.
Sounds like you've been hanging around Marshy.
Yeah, he likes that too.
Oh, he loves weird stuff.
Yeah. I just feel like you could get like the front wheel stability and steering stability and front wheel traction from 29 and still have like a shorter rear end. And at least for me, because I'm shorter, maybe
4
feet.
You'd
use
tall.
like a 27 plus. Then you would
in the back
be within regulation, right?
Like a dirt bike, fat rear tire on a smaller diameter rim.
Yeah, I think it could be good. It's just like a rule thing. Maybe we should have tried, but it's just like rules. But I mean, for me, it could be great, and maybe we have to try it. Hey, Greg?
Kind of no point in trying as long as it's illegal, maybe.
Yeah.
Or you can run like a backward stem like Marshy wants to do as well.
Yeah, and
so it can be like a motocross bike.
Just pegs and not pedal.
Put some hand guards on there.
That'd be sweet. Look like an Enduro rider.
Oh, man. Any parting shots on wheel size before we move on, guys?
Nah, I think that's kind of been played out.
Wagon wheels and they're flexy and da-da-da. Loris, you were on Specialized before, is that right?
Yeah.
I'd be really curious to hear kind of the compare and contrast of the kind of race team cultures between that team and Syndicate.
I was in the Specialized Gravity, so I mean, it's quite different than Specialized and I don't know.
Oh, it's not the same team as like Minnaar or as
Aaron Gwen and stuff. So it was like kind of more like a family because it used to be Lapierre and I've been going through that team since the beginning, since junior. So it's really different, I think. But the brand, I mean, it's just like way different. There's like more of a, I don't know, love culture in Santa Cruz that I didn't feel in Specialized. Like it's, I don't know, I felt weird in the factory in Specialized and it's a big factory and you can't really know everyone. And I mean, we are a small industry and Santa Cruz is just perfect for,
My experience with doing business with both brands completely matches that.
Yeah. And Luca was riding for Specialized too?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah. So you want to have your comment on that?
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely a different kind of animal.
Those guys are just dicks, right? Sorry.
No, there's some good dudes, but it's like, I think what's cool about Santa Cruz is like, you know, we hang out and have dinner and, you know, go on vacation with like Rob Roskop and Joe Graney and stuff, where, I mean, at Specialized, it's not really that way.
A lot more smiles around here.
No, it's cool. And, yeah, it's definitely a good brand to be a part of. And you feel that kind of love when you come here, and definitely a tighter relationship. So,
yeah, it really seems like Santa Cruz and the Syndicate are just fueled on passion and people and goodness, and like you really find the right people and have a great chemistry.
Yeah, for sure. I agree.
Greg, you own some bike shops?
Yeah, we had two, and we're now back to one. It was just our move out of the city into a nicer environment. So we just had to keep the two going while we did the transition.
So you know the pain of being a bike shop owner.
Yeah. My parents, that's how I got into bicycles, because, well, I used to ride BMX. My dad started BMX in South Africa, and I really hated it. It was a lot of effort to try and get over those jumps when you're 4 or 5 years old. And I took to motocross and raced motocross for 11 years or so. And then my parents bought a bike shop, and didn't get much time to ride my motorbike, and started riding bicycles instead. And that's how I got into it.
Were you working in the shop like a shop?
I did, yeah, for quite a while. I used to like work on weekends and help out when I was young. And then when I decided I wanted to race more seriously, I had to spend more time in the shop because I wasn't going to school. So whenever I was back home, I'd be in the shop. And then my dad got really ill, so I decided it was time for them to go on a bit of retirement, and I took over the shop. And it's pretty tough. Retail is hard. It's when everyone's on holiday having a good time, you at the shop, and that sucks.
Yeah, you know the feeling.
Manufacturing and wholesaling is a lot easier when everyone's on holiday. You're on holiday too. So,
do people go there just because it's Greg Minnaar's bike shop? Do they know?
Yeah, I think they do. And we got a pretty cool stack of old bikes. Got the Honda up there and some race winning bikes. So, guys that, even foreigners that come in, always want to check out the bikes, and the display is quite cool. It's a nice place to have the bikes.
You mentioned that Honda. I think everyone wants to know what that Honda ride's like.
Yeah, it rode pretty good. Had a lot of drag because it had 2 chains. So I found when I moved to Santa Cruz, the things that I was lacking and the areas where I felt I could, where I wasn't, that good, I found that the V10 kind of supported that. And so it made my weaknesses a little stronger, and that helped me out a lot. So, yeah, I mean, the Honda was a great bike at its time, and I think we developed a pretty decent bike. But then, moving forward, we went on to the V10, and we've developed that quite a long way too. So it's been cool.
That's awesome.
What was the culture difference between the Honda team versus the Santa Cruz team?
Quite a lot different. So we had it was run through 23 degrees, the team. And so, yeah, that was quite just like any other mountain bike team, and not much different. Then we, did a lot of testing with Honda themselves. So that's quite tough because those guys know how to party, and it's like late nights and early starts for like 10 days straight.
Is this like Japanese businessman style partying, or is this the US guys?
No, this is a Japanese businessman style.
Sounds scary.
It was tough, very tough. And then, going on to the Syndicate, it was just like, it was like a frat party all year round that goes to these races, and
only without the
it reminded me a little bit of like old school and Kathy Sessler being the ringleader, and it was cool. It's I mean, I've been on the Syndicate now for going on 11 years, so I would have left if I didn't really enjoy it.
Yeah, it shows.
Yeah, I was listening to a podcast interview with Kathy the other day, and she said that was a very high compliment that you paid her and the team to exactly what you said you would have left a long time ago. What are some of those? I mean, amongst the things that we're talking about, what are some of the things that keep bringing you back?
Keep bringing me back to the team.
Sure.
Well, I think, and Kathy knows, and she's listening now. She loves it though when I say it. But I've always said if it wasn't for Kathy and Marshy, it would have been pretty hard for me to be racing at the level I am. It's I've got a lot of things on the go around racing, and it just makes things a lot easier. Scheduling, I know my bike's ready. I just get sent the flights and just know that Kathy's done an amazing job on the travel and everything else. So it's it allows me to continue on other projects as well.
I hear she even cooks for you guys from time to time.
She does a lot of cooking, and it's pretty cool because we normally get a house instead of hotel rooms, and I enjoy being at a race. It's we finish probably walking the track probably 5:30 p.m. and it's nice that you don't have to go back, shower, and then go to the restaurant. That we can just get back to the house and hang out. And there's normally a platter of meats like antipasta served.
Right.
There's always some wine hanging about or some beers.
Right.
And then you got this amazing dinner that will come a little later. But it's nice and easy. Everyone relaxes and hangs out.
Very much so. So I tell this story once in a while. When I started dating my wife, my future mother-in-law would invite me over, and every meal I'd say, "Oh, this is my favorite thing that you've cooked." And after about like 5 or 10 or 20 times, she's like, "Eric, this can't be your favorite thing. You say that about everything." So I said, "Okay, this is definitely in the top 10. Definitely in the top 10." So if I were to ask you guys, what are some of your favorite things that you cook that Kathy has made for you guys? What's in your top 10 list? So Greg and Luca and Loris, when you get back here.
Oh man!
Oh, she did this roast. What was it? A ribeye roast.
Oh, standing rib roast.
I mean, it was made. That was 2 nights ago.
Yeah,
I'm getting hungry.
Oh man, it was so good.
yeah.
There's so much. We have like Mexican once a week. It's pretty good.
Oh, that's awesome.
Fish.
Oh yeah, the salmon.
We had a barbecue in Lenzerheide this year at the lake, and I think it was 4th of July actually. And I don't even remember what we had, but it was probably like that has to be top 5.
Yeah, the barbecue was pretty good.
And I think you helped a bit too.
Yeah,
that was pretty sweet. And then I love pasta, so Vouilloz this year, oof, pasta there, that was unreal.
I'm more a dessert guy, so I love dessert and sugar. So I mean, I remember those, how you say it, cookie ice cream or
ice cream sandwiches.
Yeah, that was the highlight of my year by far.
That was just the other night too.
Yeah,
that was after the amazing steak.
So it was
And she makes the ice cream sandwiches.
Mm-hmm.
Now she goes all out. Like,
oh my gosh,
you've never seen a spread like Kathy's spread.
Oh my god,
It's like, pretty crazy.
And I believe that apparently it's not always like that in her house. So I think poor Chuck gets a bit jealous when he comes to an event and he just sees a spread. But it's amazing. I mean, we have like breakfast, there's eggs, there's cold meats, there's fish, oatmeal, there's fresh fruit, there's yogurt, there's coffee, tea,
waffles,
sometimes bacon and pancakes,
donuts.
Then, and of course, the egg always has the leftovers from. We don't waste food.
Oh,
so
yeah.
Sometimes it might be like a pesto pasta omelette, or it depends, and that also gets transferred into the sandwiches. So it's like there's always a sandwich for lunch, but they like these sandwiches. So the leftovers will be entered into the sandwich with tomato, lettuce, and meat. It's like an amazing sandwich, and probably some pasta sometimes at the races for lunch, and then another big spread for dinner. It's incredible, and a lot of grapes.
I think we hit a sweet spot here. Food.
Oh, it's incredible. I mean, I know that. What was it? I think one of the guys, Mark Redding, I think it is, came out to one of the World Cups and was staying with another team, but would always come over for the spread.
Most excellent. It's like that. It's like your neighborhood childhood friend who always showed up for dinner. It was like the
And there's always like chocolates hanging around, petite chocolat, whatever, the little schoolgirls. There we go. It's good. It's you definitely put on a few pounds each race week.
Well, that may be part of the secret of what keeps bringing you back. I mean, the company and the conversation and the brotherhood and sisterhood around the table. It doesn't get better than that.
It's everything. I mean, you do not understand the effort that Kathy puts in. It's like, okay, it's a bit gross at times, but it's like you'll get back from a muddy day's riding and you're kind of tired and there's food hanging around and you just kind of kick off your muddy gear and you shower, the spreads out on the table, you eat, you go to like watch a bit of TV, go to bed, and you wake up, your clothes have been washed and folded, and they're at the base of your door when you wake up in the morning. It's pretty impressive.
You're like her kids. Like you are her children on the team. I mean, and she treats you with the same love and maybe the same firm hand from time to time, maybe.
I hope the daughters aren't listening because I think they'd be jealous with the amount of attention we get from them.
Yeah, it's like I can relate to that. I used to think that my wife's family ate dessert every night because my mother-in-law's an amazing baker. I have sweet tooth like you, Loris. And one day, literally this was probably 5 or 6 years after we've been dating, just got married. And I said, "You're the luckiest family. You eat dessert every night." And she's like, "What are you talking about?" "Yeah, every time I come over, you eat dessert." And she's like, "We only eat dessert when you come over."
I think that's the same as Chuck. Chuck only gets fed when we're there.
Exactly. See? Well, it's a great job, Kathy, and that it's abundantly apparent that that's not lost on the team here.
Getting back to racing and riding a little bit, I had a question about, every race I've been to on the lift or in the shuttle or whatever, the racers are always super critical of the courses, at least on the amateur levels. I don't imagine you guys are any different. Like, what would you guys like to see? Like, if you're a promoter or a course builder, like, what direction would you like to see the course go in, different courses go in?
I think it's a tough one because there's so much variety in downhill racing and downhill tracks, and it seems like people really like to complain these days when it's not a certain way. And, whether it be a bike park track or whatever, it's either too hard or too easy, it seems like. So I try and just, look at it as like, it's a race track and everyone's going to race the same track. So I enjoy riding all sorts of stuff. Like, I really like riding bike parks. So if there's a race on a bike park track, I don't care. So, but I think just variety is the key. Like, I think, as long as it's not all kind of the same and we have different venues that kind of have their each separate challenges and stuff. And you're always going to have that with the weather and stuff as well. Weather can turn a really tame kind of easy track into a beast. So
it sounds like you're almost saying don't try to have too much direction with the courses, try to have variety.
Yeah. And each venue is going to, have different dirt, different, obstacles, different whatever. So
play to different athletes.
Play to that. And I think, it's just, I feel like people love to complain about tracks and it kind of just doesn't make sense to me. So,
right.
But I think the way the tracks are now, I think they're all really good. And
you're a
they all
consummate
kind of
professional.
Well, it's just my opinion. I think they all kind of have their own challenges. Everyone who's raced will tell you the easier the track, the harder it is to race because everyone can go fast, So right. I think there's a place for all that stuff.
It's nice to have separators.
Yeah.
Greg, you have any?
I just waiting for Loris to talk. He's been a bit quiet.
No, I totally agree with Luca. It's really hard when it's really easy. Like an easy track is harder to race because it's really close. And finally, even on easy tracks, you can see gaps from the first one to the 20th. And that's crazy. It's our sport. The challenge is yourself and being fast on the track and not really the track. But I mean, we all complain about, that sucks. And I think Greg came up with an idea that when you suck on the track, you'll be like, I don't like it, so we have to change it. And I pretty much understand that.
It's almost like it's admitting that you're not doing well on that track if you're complaining.
Exactly. To me, like, I don't really like Lenzerheide because it's just like kind of hard and dusty. And I was like, we should change it. But I mean, it's just because I don't really like it because I'm not as good as whatever. But yeah.
So what's your favorite track?
That's the thing too. Like, we talk about it, and I think Andorra is really good. Like, it's a complete track, but once you go to the gate, you'll be like, I might crash or whatever. And Leogang is the thing that you can go and just have fun from top to bottom without fear. So to me, it's the funniest one. But to race, maybe it's like Fort William because it's just like buzzy on the motorway and stuff. But yeah, there's a lot of variety, and I mean, that's what makes our sport great, and I love it.
I think I hear you saying you like a track that puts some fear in you, but also you like other tracks too.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think, you get these guys that complain all the time, but if you really look at the results don't really differ whether it was really steep and technical or really flat and pedally. So, it's, you get a variety, and that's what the World Cup is about. I think maybe a World Champs track maybe needs to kind of not be so much to one tone of style and mix it up because it's World Champs, but generally, I think they do pretty good on all the World Cup tracks. I think if we see what's happened at like Leogang now, where some people complained about the man-made features, and now they've taken them out, it's just got too fast, and which makes it really dangerous. I think the speeds that we're hitting some of the sections now were a little bit too high, and that's really the only complaint I'd have to some of the tracks is just on the safety side, not generally how they ride. To me, it's fun riding mountain bikes, and when you got a chairlift taking you up and you're on an amazing mountain bike to bomb down on, we're pretty privileged.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Ak, you got anything else you wanted to go over?
Let's see.
While Ak's looking that over, you fellas got any shout outs? Any
I don't know. I was just thinking right now that I'm back. It's like this Coke and 2 bottles of water.
You're way
back.
It took the Coca-Cola to get back.
I think Greg might have had a few cocktails last night.
Not quite as many as Elliot Jackson, but
I think he may have been drugged. I don't
he
even
roofied
know
himself.
how he got that way.
So this morning I had a chance to introduce myself to Loris and your mechanic. Yeah. And then also, Greg, it sounds like you and Marsh have a great relationship. Luca, I don't know specifically for yourself, but how does that relationship with your mechanic develop over time, and how do you strengthen that, or what are the qualities?
Loris always keeps quiet.
I just have like a 1-year relation with my mechanic, so you should go first.
The relationship's important because you've got to you put a lot of trust in the work, it gets built up over time, and obviously the mechanics understand how you need to prepare for a race. So once you've got that rhythm going and the mechanic understands the rider and you understand how your mechanic works, it's that's really key. It's just to really understand both ways. But it's once you've got it, it's important to keep.
Was Marshy was he with Santa Cruz before you?
No, Marshy was with Bryn and Jill Atkinson, and he was with Chain Reaction prior to that.
And so, how did you know? Like,
I don't know. We guessed. We just guessed, and it was actually Dougie Fresh and Kathy that came up with getting Marshy on board, and he was allocated to me, I guess, in a way. Yeah, Marshy Yeah. So yeah, I didn't source Marshy, or Marshy didn't source me. It was something that I'd given. So I think half of it's too is the rider's responsibility to build up the relationship as well with the mechanic.
Right.
Yeah.
And it sounds like you guys do that from time to time. I think I saw a video clip of you guys riding on his home trails, or his trail.
His trail that he built, which I'm pretty sure someone else did, but he's claimed it.
He maintains it.
Kind of like the marsh god. Anyway, it's no, it's cool. He's tripoding the whole way down that trail, but it's funny. He loves it, and he loves having all the guys out in Morzine, and that's where he lives. So he just really loves it.
The videos were pretty classic.
No, they are.
Luca, for yourself and Loris, who's your mechanic, Luca?
Dougie Fresh, Doug Hatfield. Yeah.
Now, do you know Dougie Fresh?
I don't actually.
So Dougie Fresh dates back to Julie Furtado's mechanic.
Oh, wow. Okay.
He's got a great history in the sport.
And should get him on someday.
Oh yeah.
Oh, man.
He's got some stories.
Yeah.
Man, maybe we could do the three mechanics together.
Yeah. And similar to Loris, I've only worked with Dougie 1 year when I came on Syndicate, but yeah, he's got more experience than probably anyone in the sport. Just the amount of, great riders and champions he's wrenched for, and it's cool to, be able to call on his experience, and definitely knows what he's doing. So it's I feel super lucky to have him working on my bikes.
No, that's great.
Can any of you guys think of any kind of I bet he has some great old school stories. Can you think of any of his most classic old school shenanigans stories?
Yeah, gone. Not on here.
Okay, I got not rated for this show.
There's too many.
There are some. I just can't think of that. I know one, but that one's definitely not coming onto the show.
Not even just the toned down version?
No, you can't tone it down.
It's untonable. I think that kind of gives a good impression of what it is, or what it could be. Sometimes the imagination is better than reality.
Go for it.
Some things are unattainable. This is unatonable.
I mean, it's not that bad, but it's a great story. There's so many stories with Doug. He's quite an adventurous guy, and he's fun. He's a fun guy to be around.
Everyone's just going to have to take your word for it.
I'm sure anyone who knows him has got some great stories about him. I can't really think straight at the moment, and so that's why I'm battling to think of another story about Doug.
No worries. So, Loris, how did you come to meet and with your mechanic?
It was kind of supposed by Santa Cruz because it has to be in some point, in Morzine, because it was helpful and better. So I just think that your mechanic has to be a mechanic and just do what you anyway, be good and doing your setups and stuff anyway. But that's the easy point, and once you kind of mad or just crash, or if he understands you, it's better. So it needs to be kind of a friend, I think, because otherwise he could be go even worse and just punch the guy or whatever. So I mean, that's the main point is just to be great with your mechanic and have a good relation.
Because it gets pretty tense.
Yeah, World Cup is just there's stuff going on and you want to be ready for racing, and sometimes you're really mad at yourself and you don't want anyone to push the button and just hey, you suck.
Emotions are high.
Yeah.
Your mechanic is sometimes your psychologist as well.
Oh, yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, I think I got a chance to see the Lenzerheide course this year about a few weeks after you guys raced it, and it was kind of a bucket list thing for me to just see a World Cup course in person. And I got to say, I would need a psychologist to try to go fast on that.
Well, and maybe a little observation on that is just watching some of the videos of when Greg, you walked into the pits after you broke your bike or the post broke your bike, just to see kind of that calm but expeditious work that you and Marshy working together on your bike.
It's the old bike shop skills coming out there.
Both of you guys. Yeah, for you too.
You guys built a new bike in like an hour or something?
Oh no, it was less than that. We just we swapped out the frame. So yeah, I mean it was a lot of work. I left Marshy to do the final details. I went up to the top to start warming up, and then he came up a bit later with the full bike. So yeah, that was a hell of a weekend.
That was a gnarly crash. I mean, on the
I know it was, and it's I was, it's kind of funny because I was chatting to Rob, and he's like, "Well, you controlled yourself really good and signing that kid's autograph, after a big crash like that." And I was like, "Well, let me tell you the truth," because I was a bit confused where I was, and I saw this kid, and I was like, "Piss off," trying to and I'm trying to walk it off, and I just don't really know what's going on. Which I was just signing his autograph quick so I could get a bit of space to breathe. Right. And so I was like laughing about that. But
did you ring your bell pretty good, or?
I just think I'd spun around and over and sideways and hit a pole and wasn't quite sure what had happened. And I look over the bike and it's in half, and I'm just all confused and trying to breathe and rub my shin because that's the only thing that I hurt. And
And that bike broke after the crash, not before the crash, right?
Yeah, I hit into a post, a big wooden post, and it just wrapped around. So yeah.
You worked that one out of your system yet? Is that one still lingering at all?
What?
The crash?
Oh, not really, no. It's
You're not flinching anymore?
No, it if it wasn't for the footage that I saw, I wouldn't have known what had happened. But I could see I went offline, and I tried to correct with my dad bod, and front wheel washed, hooked the rut, and just sprung me to the left. So I think I was probably lucky. I think if I didn't get flung to the left and I got flung forward, I would have ended up in the rock section. Right. And that wouldn't have been as pretty.
And the bike braking adds a nice dramatic element.
Yeah, it's going to be a cool piece. The guys at Santa Cruz wanted the frame just so they could just check it out.
Right.
No bike's going to hold a side impact like that anyway, regardless if it's aluminium, because if you're going to ride an L-shaped frame, it's still not going to work really well. And they wanted to check it out, but I'd already shoved it in a bag and sent it home for the bar, because that's a good bar piece.
Right.
Yeah.
So we talked a little bit about your mechanic being somewhat of your psychologist as well.
Yeah.
One of the things that, there's tons of videos and what have you on the crash, but could you walk us through what that conversation looks like between you and Marsh when you walk in there? Like, what is that conversation?
Well, I walk in and, luckily enough, there was a guy on the side of the track, Guillaume Colvin, and he used to race World Cups. And I look at this thing and I'm like, well, how am I going to get it down? Because I'm like midway up this gnarly steep track, and it's the end of practice, and we've only got an hour to get up for the qualifying. And so I try to pick up the two pieces, and it's quite awkward with all the cables hanging everywhere. And I'm like, well, this is not going to work. And then Guillaume said, no, he'll take it down. So we tried to carry it together. It wasn't really working. And so he's like, don't worry about it. You walk the track and I'll just bring it down. So I walked the track down. Someone had radioed to Kathy and Peat to try and find the bike. So I can walk in down the bottom of the track while I was kind of running. And I bump into them and they say, where's your bike? And I'm like, well, it's coming down. So they're trying to wait for it. And we actually don't know where it's gone. So I get to the pits and I'm like, well, Marshall, we've got this frame that's snapped in half, and what are we going to do? So we make a plan that we're going to just swap out the front triangle, but we don't know where the bike is.
Oh, man.
And we're waiting around. It felt like it was, taking way too long. And then.
So how far are we from your race run at that moment?
Probably about 40 minutes.
40 minutes from a race run. Looking for your bike.
Guillaume came running into pits, and he had covered with a fireman jack, covered the whole frame up, just trying to keep it covered, which, for us, it's not a big deal because it didn't break for any other reason, but it pulled sideways. So anyway, and then we got to work, just trying to make it happen. And, it's a bit tense, but like you say, a mechanic sometimes are a psychologist, in a case like Vouilloz, I think I was Marshy's counselor that weekend. It's like, we had some stuff that went on that is not really mechanical. It wasn't fault by a mechanic or anything else. And, they take it personally. It's like
still weighing on his conscience.
Oh, for sure. He kind of felt like he could have done something else differently, which, to me it wasn't. It was just it's just one of those things that you couldn't change. It just was going to happen regardless. So, and that's kind of tough. It's tough for a mechanic. That's his race is making sure that bike gets down in one piece and put in perfect condition. When it doesn't, they take it personally.
No mechanic likes to see their work come undone.
For sure. And that weekend we had 2 pretty big mechanicals, so to say, but it had nothing to do with what Marshy had or how he had set it up or a reflection of his work at all. It was just the product failing or getting smashed against the pole.
Getting pushed beyond it, what could be expected of it, right?
Oh, for sure, yeah.
And so, how about you, Luca? Any stories with you and Dougie Fresh this year? With you guys had some, I think all of you guys had some very highs and some also like maybe some disappointments with a result or a mechanical issue or whatever. What were some of the times that you might recall with your mechanic or even anyone else on the team that you're like kind of working through mental issues or?
Yeah. You're going to have that, in racing, it's not always going to go perfect or to plan. So yeah, I mean, we had our ups and downs, like you said. But it's just kind of a part of it. And, I mean, when it doesn't go your way, you kind of have to sort of learn from it and forget about it as quick as you can. Cause each race is different and a new opportunity. So I feel like we did pretty well with that. And, it definitely helps having Dougie. He's like probably the most upbeat, positive, kind of like, positive guy I've ever met. So when things don't go well, it's pretty easy to just kind of brush it off and, start thinking about the next race. So, that definitely was, key this year. There was, we had, either a bad race on my part where I'd have a crash or, make a stupid mistake or, a mechanical failure. It definitely, it's not always easy. So, having Dougie, to kind of pick you up and get you ready for the next one, it was a lot easier for me. So, yeah.
Yeah, that's great.
Well, I think we've taken a lot of you guys' time and we really appreciate it. Anything else anyone wants to go over? I was kind of hoping one of you guys would just go full Conor McGregor and call out Aaron Gwynn and like tell him he's scared of you and like, but short of that, anything. Silence. You guys are nice guys.
Consummate professionals.
Nathan, you got anything you want to pitch in? All right. Well, thanks again, guys. For Nathan and Ock, and with really sincere thanks to you guys from the Syndicate.
Thank you, guys.
Yeah.
Thanks a lot. It's great.
Yeah, thanks for having us.
Abate toro,